What is the secret to a long-lasting relationship, if there is such a thing? That is the question I asked myself about 5 videos ago. By the way, this is video number 6, when I started thinking about my own relationship, my own long-term relationship. I've been married for almost 20 years now. And boy, have we been tested. I mean, we are still together and some people think it's a miracle. Well, it's miraculous, that's for sure, but things don't just happen. Because if you let things happen, you never make things happen. Some people live life and let things happen and blame life for not reaching the goals that they didn't even set out to reach. And some people make things happen. I think that's one of the big secrets of our marriage, that we did not let things happen, that we made things happen together. When we moved to Vermont, after having been in Pennsylvania for a long, long time, we finally found our dream house, made it our home. We're surrounded by lovely, lovely forests and meadows and streams and lakes and nature. In fact, somebody is tapping the maple trees that we own. Never thought I would own maple trees, let alone that somebody would turn that maple sap into some syrup. That's something we do in our marriage too. You know, a marriage is a tree. It needs to grow, but you need to provide the right conditions for a tree to grow and grow well, and then it will give you the sweetness of the sap. But when we moved to Vermont, we decided to simplify our life to the extreme. So we got rid of a lot of baggage, a lot of stuff that we didn't need, that wasn't even ours, that we kept carrying around with us. So we left with a lot less stuff than when we started our relationship. But we kept the things that we loved and cherished. But both of us believe in a simple life and enjoying the small things together. It's no longer the big things that we strive for, the big milestones, you know, the travel around the world for 60 days idea, or the idea that one day I have to be a millionaire and own this much money, own this many stocks, and the older we get, the less materialistic we are. I mean, we are well off, absolutely, especially compared to a majority of the population on this planet, but you don't need a lot of stuff to be happy. And I wish more and more people would get that message. You know, you don't need the stuff. It's not the stuff that makes things work. The big things are the small things. And again, that's a cliche, but it is true, isn't it? The big things are the small things. So we cherish the small moments together, that we sit on our deck. We lit up the fireplace. We have a nice glass of wine in hand. And there's a starry night. The moon's out. We hear the last birds before they fall asleep. The rustling of the wind in the leaves. And in these moments, these small moments, we look at each other and say, wow, can't believe we created this. This is ours to enjoy and to share with everybody and with each other. That feeling of being home with one another, belonging with one another. I wish everybody would have that feeling, because you deserve it. And if you don't feel that in your relationship right now, something is missing. Something that you have to help create. You need to have open minds. Both of us are very curious. We don't subscribe to one set of ideas. I mean, there's some stuff that we hold on to from when we were kids, but I mean, I made a big change. I mean, I stopped working as a full-time voiceover recently, so I had to let go of the belief that that was the idea, that was the way for me to make money. Voice acting, being a voice actor, was part of my image, my identity, and I shed that like a snake sheds its skin. And I'm so happy I did that, but it meant that I had to make a change inside of myself and let go of things that were no longer working for me. That's what we do in our relationship too. We let go of the things that no longer work for us. And we don't sweat the small stuff anymore. I mean, there's big stuff, plenty of big stuff that we can sweat a lot about, but really, small stuff, it's not worth our time and energy. So both of us are very non-materialistic. We don't care about showing off to the neighbors, because our neighbors don't care either. Because it's not in those things that you can define your relationship. You define the relationship in the days and nights that you love one another deeply. And I know it may sound romantic, and maybe you think that I'm walking with my head in the clouds, and I'm sorry, but I can't help it, because when I think back on how we started our relationship 20 years ago, and I'll talk about that in another video if you like, if you want to know how my wife and I met, and the people that we have become thanks to one another, it is a story that I will cherish for the rest of my life, and hopefully after that too. But in every relationship, there has to be a balance of what I call a balance of effort. Both sides have to invest and be invested. As long as both of you are invested, you'll be okay. But as soon as one person starts being invested less and checking out, there's this unbalance that needs to regain its balance again. So it's also important that at some point in the relationship, at least that's my experience, that you have to stop talking and start listening. I was a very big talker. I mean, I made my living talking. I started off as a 17-year-old interning for Dutch National Radio, being on the air, talking. Then I became a journalist, a newscaster, a newsreader. All I did was speak words, many words. Then I became a trainer of neurolinguistic psychology. I did some Reiki, and I became a trainer of hypnotherapy, and I used my words to convey what I meant. I did a lot of talking. But I have to admit, I wasn't always the best at listening. And when I woke up after my stroke, very ironic, I could not walk, but I couldn't talk either. I had to relearn how to speak. So before I could be verbal, I had to listen. Literally, there's no other way for me to live my life. I could not utter a word. I couldn't find the words. I couldn't recognize objects and people. It's a very, very weird experience, but I had to relearn how to speak. So I had to rely on my listening skills and really become better at listening. It's a big lesson. Sometimes life presents you with obstacles so you can learn from them. And if you don't learn from them, you'll get another obstacle, so you will learn that lesson. And if you don't learn from them still, you'll get presented the same message until you finally get it. So I had to learn to listen. I also realized that not one single person can fulfill all your needs in life. That would be unfair to demand that of my wife. That she would be the one and only person that could fulfill all my needs and desires. That doesn't mean that I go off dancing into the night and hang on to anybody who's willing to listen to me. Not at all. I'm truly dedicated and committed and 100% monogamous. But I know that there's certain things that I cannot talk about with my wife because she doesn't have that frame of reference. Remember, I was born in the Netherlands. Lived there for almost 40 years, so that's a whole part of my past that she wasn't a part of. And she has the same thing. I mean, she grew up here in the United States with watching certain shows, living through certain events that I have not experienced. So that is not something that I have a frame of reference of, that she can talk to other people about. I mean, she is very much into music. I am very much into music too, but she is a professional. So at a certain level I have to check out, and she has to talk to the professionals about these things. So not one person in our relationship can fulfill all our needs. So it's important to have other people in our life as well to make sure that these needs are met. And we're okay with that. We're okay with each other having different friends and different interests. So maybe in my next installment, which will be number 7, I'll talk about how we met. It's a fun story. Thanks for checking in with me. Take care. All the best.